Welcome to the Brick by Brick podcast with Ronald Pauleus, where we are laying the groundwork for a future we want to build, a future that we want to have the decision to make. Welcome to the Brick by Brick podcast with Ronald Pauleus, where we talk things real estate and focus on entrepreneurship, what that means, what that looks like, and where we extract principles that affect and could shape us. Principles that could help us build the life we want to live brick by brick. My mentor, Pace Morby, he said this, and it just struck me right between the eyes. He said, people wait to buy real estate. Don't wait. I butchered the quote, by the way. Let me restart that. He said, people wait to buy real estate and wait. Yeah. And you're like, dude, interest rates are like, 7 to 8%. Well, I think they're at like 6% now. They're trying to make them come down. The time to buy real estate was 4 years ago, Ron, when it was, 2 to 3% interest rates. Yeah. I mean, to put it in perspective, back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, interest rates were 8, 10%, but houses are cheaper. Should have bought then. Yeah, we couldn't have, right? At least I couldn't have. I was 97 baby here. And so don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait because of the appreciation. I mentioned that in my last episode. Because of the leverage, because of the cash flow, loan pay down, just benefits after benefits after benefits. Well, how do I get started though? What was the single most helpful thing in your life, Ron, that helped you to get started in real estate? I'm glad you asked. I realized a couple of things that I just want to highlight. Because I think as people try to navigate entrepreneurship, as people try to navigate what it means to build and create, what it means to make, what it means to start to do something where you don't necessarily have someone telling you, hey, you got to clock in at this time, hey, you got to clock out at that time. Or in the real estate spirit where I'm specifically focusing this podcast in, you realize there's a lot of risk, which there is, which I am aware of. There's tons of risk. And in one of Robert Kiyosaki's books, he said, I believe it was either him or Ken, but they said, it's only risky if you don't know what you're doing. Now, that doesn't mean all the risk is eliminated just because you know what you're doing. What that means is risk is mitigated, right? The likelihood of you losing, the likelihood of you not making and getting a win decreases when you know how to mitigate risk. And so I want to highlight a few things here. When one is wanting to navigate and get into these real estate waters, you got to know where you're at. You got to know where you're at, and you got to know what you like. And what I mean by that is you can jump into the deep end of the pool. You could jump into the deep end of the pool and just try to start swimming. Or you can come in on the side where it's 3 feet, test the waters, and go deeper if you want to. I remember when I was just wanting to get into real estate and trying to figure things out, I ran into a place called Bigger Pockets. Big company, big business, really helpful. They talk a lot about the Burr method. Check that out, where you buy a property, rehab a property, rent a property, and then you refinance the property. And then the other R that is mentioned there is repeat it. Just keep doing it. And many have taken that path to financial freedom and financial wealth to build that. And I thought to myself, oh, that's the route I'm going to take. And so I looked into house hacking. You know what house hacking is? You buy a house, bigger house, and then you rent out the rooms. And so I'm a single guy at the time, and I'm saying to myself, yeah, okay, I'll house hack. I'm in Florida. Houses are about, $500,000, $600,000 and $400,000, and I'm going to house. Well, I didn't have the money for a down payment. I was just exiting college at the time, and I was debt free, thank God, but I had no money. And so house hacking at the time wasn't the route that I could take because it was not possible for me to take. And so I continued, and so I kind of let it drop. I let that hurdle stop me because that was the only option I thought I had. And when you're not knowledgeable enough, which I'm going to tie this all in my second point, when you're not knowledgeable enough and you run into Bigger Pockets and all you think about is house hacking or Burr and you don't have the methods to even start, then people conclude, okay, well, real estate's not for me because I can't do this. I can't do this method that proved to be successful for other people. Well, what if I told you there's other methods? There's other ways to get started. And so I kind of let that sit, and in the process of the several years between then, I moved to Oklahoma, residing here in Oklahoma City, got married to a beautiful woman, Joanna, and we just had our first child, daughter, Ava. And so my life has changed drastically. And house hacking is still not a viable option for me because of our living situation. It's just not possible. If we had a garage in the back that we could have renovated to make it a ADU, which is an additional dwelling unit, I mean, that'd be a totally different story, but we don't have that, and we don't have the funds to get one and then to renovate it to make it possible. And so this last year, just focused on how do I get started? I shared a little bit of my story back at those beginning episodes and talked about how I spent the last year just trying to figure out how to start a service business, pressure washing, installing Christmas lights, or mobile detailing. Just how do I build capital to get into real estate? Then I found out about wholesaling. It's like, oh, that's a way to get into real estate without any capital, without any of your own money. And essentially what wholesaling is where you purchase a property, or you have conversations with a seller, someone who needs to sell for whatever reason. They're moving, they're being deployed elsewhere or redeployed, they're downsizing. This is a time where a whole bunch of boomers are just downsizing. They bought another house and they don't need two. It's just various reasons. And so and let's just say it's a distressed property, meaning it's a property that needs to be worked on. They were not able, for whatever reason, to pour in the funds throughout their time of ownership to renovate the property, to fix the property, to make sure it was working and all the things were good, right? A roof that was well and water heater. I walked into one house, actually, a seller family I'm trying to help, and their AC was from 1994, and it was still working. It's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? And so it worked for them. But then there are other houses where ACs, I walk in and it's from 2015 and it's not working. And so you there's a distressed property. It needs to be fixed up for whatever reason. It needs renovation. It needs to be touched up to livable standards. So what happens is you oops you all right. So wholesale, right? Let's just say you they want to sell they so the seller wants to sell their house for 50,000, and you know ARV is after repair value, meaning after the repairs have been made, after the house has been raised up to modern livable standards, it's worth a certain amount. So let's just say the seller wants 50,000 for the house, and the house is worth 200,000. Just random numbers here. You could tell the spread or the delta between these two numbers is 150,000. You're the wholesaler, and let's just say you've done the math, and there's a standard, what they call fix and flip calculator that they use just to figure out. Fix and flippers want to buy houses at a discount so that they can fix the property and then make profit on the back end. So let me get my, where's my calculator at? Where's my calculator at? Alright, it's in calculator. Okay. Alright. So, I don't even have it on here. Fun times. So this is a formula. It's ARV times 75% minus the repairs. And so a $200,000 house times 75%. Oh, no. Oh, no. Is 150. And let's just say that there is 50,000 in repairs. And then let's just say that the homeowner still has a $30,000 loan on it. All right, so you minus their 50. That's 20,000. Then there's closing costs and all that the fix and flipper will have to take on the back end. So let's just say what you do is, so 50,000 is what the seller wants. Then there's a 30K note. And so let's just say you get it under contract, they say, for $90,000. Real simple math here. The spread between these two, right, the $80,000 that the seller must have, which is 30 for the note and then 50 for in their pocket, and then the $10,000 that you add on to it made it that 90, and then you sell it, or you sell your interest in the contract to somebody else. Sorry, you assign your interest in the contract to a fix and flipper, and they buy it from you for $90,000, and you make $10,000, and that's a difference. And people do it all the time, all day, and in every state. May look different, but they do it in every state. And so that's no, you need no money out of pocket. Some people are like, well, do you have to fix up the property first? No. If you don't have the $50,000 to fix up the property, don't worry about it. The fix and flipper will. And so you make that $10,000 spread, and you kind of just go from there. You get another property. They want $40,000. It's worth $300,000. You just kind of just go from there. Now, that last year, it was just a year of research, of education, and I saw this and thought to myself, this is not possible. Like, who's doing this? I had no proof of concept. It was just on YouTube, listening. Found a guy named Tez Alberta here locally. Went to several of his meetups. I mean, he had houses he took us to and walked us through and told us how he got it, how he's gonna fix and flip it, the profit he's gonna make. Just real giving guy. And then I met Pace Morby, and just like, okay, is this possible? Which leads me to this. Some people are at a place where they will not be the ones going out to have negotiations and talks with sellers because you got your own 9 to 5, right? It doesn't make sense to quit. I know one person who's an engineer, has a schedule 7 a.m. to about 2 p.m., making good money, and he wants to get into real estate. And so he's buying from wholesalers. He's buying from the people who do go have the conversations with sellers with properties that are in distress, and they want to get rid of it for whatever reason. And the wholesaler makes a little bit on the front end, and then the person buying it, they fix and flip it, and he keeps it as a rental. And so when it comes to getting into real estate, it depends on where you're at, what's beneficial for you, and what works for you. A lot of people make it seem like, go quit your 9 to 5 and jump into this. It's like, whoa, no. That doesn't make sense for everybody. For some people, it does. Not for everyone. And so this leads me to the biggest thing that I want to really highlight today is mentors. I know that there are a lot of mentors. There are a lot of mentors. And everyone has something they're talking about. I mean, you're listening to me. And though I realize I'm not an expert, I do realize I've learned a lot from the mentors I do have in this real estate sphere. And the one thing, if I could tell my younger self who was at Florida thinking, how can I get into real estate? House hacking. If I could tell my even younger self who saw his mom give a check to that landlord of that apartment complex, and the thought stayed with him, it'd be nice to receive a check every month like that. What I would say is this: find a good mentor. Alex Hermosi, he said this quote that, again, paradigm shifting. He said, get into the rooms where people are living your dream. Remember earlier when I talked about I had no proof of concept? I was just watching YouTube videos. I think a lot of times people like me, I can say this because I did this last year. I spent the year researching. I wish I could show you my Evernote folders of business ideas. I mean, I did so much research for my potential car detailing business, I had the software I was going to use. I, I, I mean, QuickBooks and uh, is it Jobber? Yeah, Jobber. I think it is. I mean, I had all of that lined up. Christmas light installation business, Marquette. I mean, for my pressure washing, I had a place I was gonna get my pressure washing rig from. I was already saying to my wife Joanna, "Hey, I'm gonna need a truck." I delved into this research, and I have folders. I I had a social media marketing agency I was gonna start. I mean, my brain was filled with all the things that I was gonna start and the research I was gonna do. And so many people get stuck there. They get stuck there, and they just sit because they have all this information and they want to make sure it's perfect. They want to make sure on day one of them starting their business that they are already starting with 10 5-star reviews. They're wanting on day one when they're starting in the real estate journey that they have 20 deals under contract ready to close next month. They have all these expectations. You might have these expectations of how things go because you look at how all the pros are doing it. I mean, Pace Morby, the dude has what, 2,000 plus doors, rental doors, or uh, doors that they call them houses. Houses that he rents out, like 2,000 houses, whether it's duplexes, multifamily, whatever it is, and they get paralysis of analysis paralysis. It's like, oh. And what expedited my success, and by success I mean 8 months into doing this, I have working with another gentleman here locally. I have a lot of deals that is in the pipeline, and they're getting to the finish line. Hopefully, some will be getting to the finish line tomorrow. Which no, not tomorrow, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Just hopefully they get to the finish line. But I realized this: what expedited my success was mentors. No doubt. No doubt. When I got into the room of people who were living out my dream, and I use that loosely, people who were doing the things that I wanted to do, I realized it was possible. I remember the night before a Saturday, I got on Facebook and Google and saw that there was something called a wholesaler's breakfast, where wholesalers. Remember, I did a whole year of research. Finally, got into wholesaling on YouTube and just devoured it and knew everything about wholesaling. And then I found this wholesaler's breakfast. It's like, man, okay, what's that about? Okay, networking, connecting. I told my wife, I was like, it's at 8 a.m. It's on Saturday. We usually sleep in on Saturdays and just spend time together. We go down to the farmer's market at Scissortail Park, one of our favorite parks here locally. And I told her, okay, I want to go. I got up at 7 that Saturday, and I was just like, okay, do I want to go? I don't think I want to go. You know what? I'm gonna just go. And I went, and it changed my trajectory of my life. And the reason I say that is because I met Tez Alberta there. Again, I met him at another meetup. That was my second time meeting him, and we chatted a little bit. He has a coaching program, joined his coaching program. And towards the end of last year, remember, I spent a year of research, just a year of research. Towards the end of last year, Tez said, just start. He had this meetup. There was a whole bunch of us. That's a whole story in itself. He invited us to an Airbnb. The plumbing went out, and it started to flood like 2 hours before we got there, or an hour before we got there. So we had to scramble and meet at another site, and he had his pep talk there, which was a very good pep talk. He said, just start. Give 5 offers. Talk to 5 sellers a month. Give 5 offers. It'll be 5 than what you did this year. It's like, yeah, 5 more, no doubt. That mentor expedited it because I said to myself, I'm just going to take action. I remember on January, it was cold. My wife had just given birth, and there's snow on the ground. I'm teaching at a high school locally here at this time, and it's coming off of winter break. Time passes, and I told Joanne, I'm gonna take action. I'm just gonna do the things. I don't even know what I'm doing. I know the theory and the dynamics of wholesaling, but I didn't know where to get leads. So what did I do? I went to for sale by owner on Zillow, right? And I had somebody giving me leads, and they gave me this one lead on the northeast side of the city. Went over, had a conversation with the seller. She's like, yeah, I just want to sell for this. I said, okay, awesome. And got it under contract that same day. And this is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I mean, it's a holiday. Everyone's supposed to be off, and I'm working because I'm hungry. I said, I'm going to take action. I'm going to do the things. And so I'm there doing the things, and I send it over to Title Monday or Tuesday, the next business day. Title gets back to me and says, hey, we got a few orders on this already. This is one of the ones that have come through our pipeline before with other wholesalers. I was like, wow. Okay, well, I'm sure those other contracts have expired. And I find out the person selling me the house didn't even have the power, didn't even have the authority to sell the house. It's a crazy story. Their aunt passed away. So they took over the house. They're not living in it. They were living elsewhere. And they, I guess, paid the other aunts and uncles off to buy the house. And title work was never done before the aunt died. And they never did probate. It's like, wow. And so I noticed this because when we were signing paperwork and we agreed to this number and this and that, she kept saying, this is my house now. I own it. And I said, okay. I mean, I have no reason not to believe you currently. Well, later I found out I had every reason not to believe her because she wasn't even on the deed. And that was a time where I didn't know any of that. I didn't know probate. Now I'll run into probate situations where a loved one passed away and the rightful heirs are wanting to sell the property. I'm like, oh, yeah, we got a probate lawyer for that. Awesome. Let's work it. And so how did I get there? A mentor. I mean, from January when I first signed that paperwork with someone who wanted to sell who didn't have the right authority and it had to go through probate, and I just dropped it because I was like, I don't know anything about this, to now, that 7-month time frame, what made that 7-month difference was a mentor. Pace Morby and local people like Nathan Yerkes and others who gave me tools in my tool belt and said, hey, this is how you solve this problem. Mentors, people who are doing the things that you're wanting to do, and they're far enough to where they can see the hurdles you'll run into, and they'll say, hey, watch out for that. Oh, yeah, no, that's definitely a problem. That's definitely an issue. And what's even better is they say, hey, as you continue to do the things, as you continue to grow, you will run into problems. You will run into issues that will make you say, oh, maybe I shouldn't be in this. Yeah. Pace Morby, he tells us, if you're in this real estate business, just plan on being sued. Somebody will sue you for something. A tenant will sue you. Somebody will sue you for backing out of a contract. Somebody will sue you. Just be ready for it and take it as a learning experience. If he didn't tell me that, I wouldn't have been prepared. Not that I'm being sued right now, but I wouldn't be prepared for that potential because I say to myself, I'm doing all the things legally, right? I'm making sure all the things will happen, but something will happen where a tenant didn't like the color of the bathroom and I'm getting sued, whatever. But what expedited me in this real estate sphere is a mentor. And wherever you're at, get a mentor. A mentor also could help you work through how you get into real estate. maybe you're not, maybe you shouldn't be a wholesaler, meaning you're the one going to the sellers and talking to them and getting the property on the contract and dishing it out to a fix and flipper. Maybe you're not a fix and flipper. Maybe you're not the one fixing the house itself, or maybe you're not the one overseeing it. Maybe you just have the cash and you just want to buy a whole bunch of rentals, houses ready to be rentals. Maybe you do need the income, you do need the cash, so you need to fix and flip, or you need a wholesale to get the cash and build up reserves, and then you want to get into fix and flips to build more cash and to get more capital, get more income. Maybe you don't want to get into real estate yet, but you kind of want to know the world, and so you become a private money lender, meaning you have a 401k that you use and you could self-direct it. Several people can help with that. Or you just have cash sitting in the bank and it's not getting the return that you would want it to get. And other people like me and others in the real estate sphere are always in need of private money lenders, and they give you a 12% return, 10% return, higher than the S&P, right? There are different ways where you can at least have your hand, have your finger in real estate, in the water, even if you're not in the 8 feet side of the pool. You're at least in the 3 feet. You're like, okay, I'm testing this out. But a mentor would help tremendously. And so, how do you build the future you want brick by brick? One action after another, one at a time. And check out a mentor. Thanks for being with us here on the Brick by Brick podcast with Ronald Pauleus. If you want to expedite your success, if you want to learn the things you don't know, if you want to get better at the things you are wanting to do, get in a room of people doing those things. Get a mentor. Peace.